Five Nights at Freddy's 2 theory to end all theories and bind everything together. And it all starts by revealing the identity of the scariest and most mysterious animatronic of them all, this one, the Endoskeleton Mark II. The skeleton only appears after the music box fails and the marionette has left its box. Then it heads into your office vent, and then waits, never attacking. Some guess it's the skeleton of Golden Freddy, but that's not true. Why is the only robot without a jump scare the scariest of them all? Because it's not Golden Freddy's skeleton. It's yours. And in this video, I'm going to prove it. First, let's show who it can't belong to, using the ears. Two little tree leaves stuck on the head. Bonnie has mega ears, Chica has no ears, and Foxy has a set of pointed daggers. And the skeleton is way too tall to be Balloon Boy. The only one with cute little ears is Freddy. So the endoskeleton must belong to one of the 6 known incarnations of Freddy. Next clue, the giant elephant in the room nobody talks about. You spend the entire game pretending to be Freddy Fazbear. The head goes on, the head comes off, on and on till you want to barf, until you stop and realize just how bizarre this is for a defense. Do you honestly think some random guy in a severed undead teddy bear head is going to stop that thing? Not the most comfortable choice, since you gasp for death whenever you wear it. Until you realize every time you take the head off, you hear a zipper. You aren't just wearing the head. You're wearing the entire suit. And now the creepy part begins. Let's watch the opening cutscene again and see how many things you notice. Look alive, and above all, listen. Item 1, Chica is now your friend! But which Chica is that? Is it super cute cupcake eyeballs, beakless, face-eating toy Chica? No. Is it super distended, crucified, no hands, paper plate, hiding, hi, my name is Brack Chica? No. Is it extra teeth, let's see it, I see you, classic Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Chica? Yes. Which, using game theory's minimum wage calculation that the first game happens in 1993, a technique vindicated by matching 1987 in game 2, means that you've been in that suit for 6 years. So shocking, you might overlook that you've stopped breathing. And whenever you move your head, you hear an electric motor. Sometimes, when you die, you get tossed into one of several 8-bit minigames that puts you in the role of being one of the animatronics. Like your brain is now running on a classic Atari console, beginning and ending with the same electronic static that ends the cutscenes. Usually, though, death treats you to a charming picture of Freddy looking in satisfaction as he gazes at you through one of his own eye sockets. For it really is his eye socket. See the pattern of the nose, the color and texture of the fur? It's an exact match to your own mask, and to no other Freddy we know of. It's not old Freddy, not toy Freddy, and it certainly isn't Golden Freddy or even Shadow Golden Freddy. And while smiling death screen Freddy bears a strong resemblance to classic Freddy from Five Nights 1, it's not an exact match. Classic Freddy has blue human eyes, cheek freckles, that lovable handprint on his face, and is powered by the Mark I endoskeleton. Death screen Freddy has redder, more pristine fur without freckles, and judging by the metal bars under the eyes, is powered by our friend, the Mark II endoskeleton. The metal eye stalks are the same, the reflective metal eyelids are the same. Even the gray eyes are the same, although Freddy's irises are slightly larger. But satisfied-looking death screen Freddy is still a far better match than any of the others, and I will refer to him from here on out as the Freddy of Five Nights 3. Going back to the minigames in game theory, we know the marionette was the first murdered child and the first to become a possessed animatronic seeking revenge. We also know that Marion has the power to bring souls trapped in suits back to life. He reanimated Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, and even Golden Freddy as well, but the last for a different reason. In the final between-night cutscene, you wake up to find Marion gazing at you, staring intently, always moving in front of you, intently focused. It's clear they all know you're in there, and could easily kill you if they wanted to. But if they wanted to kill you, the marionette wouldn't be bringing you back to life. But wait, if each Freddy traditionally has human eyes, why does Fazbear III have metal ones? Because your eyes never made it into the suit. On night 6 of the last week the pizzeria is open, Phone guy informs you that you're going to be transferred to the day shift for the last scheduled event, a birthday party, and that you should stay as close as possible to the animatronics at all times to make sure they don't hurt anyone. The building is on lockdown because of the Golden Freddy suit murders, but the game is set in 1987, and the most fabled event in Five Nights history hasn't happened yet, which means the Bite of 87 must happen tomorrow. You, Jeremy Fitzgerald, went to that birthday party and were the best darn security guard they ever had. You never let anyone else near the animatronics. But you needn't have worried about the children. Those robots were kids themselves and would never have hurt them. They just smiled at the kids and stared at the adults. And while you were focused on the safety of everyone else, they did something they'd never done before. Your body lived on with its frontal lobe missing. Your mind was elsewhere. As one final goodbye, your check on Night 5 carries the innocent-sounding phrase, "Welcome to the family," which is true in ways your employer never dreamed of. By Night 7, Jeremy Fitzgerald is gone, replaced by Temp Fritz Smith, who gets himself fired on the very first night, leaving Jeremy to get accustomed to his new life and new identity as Freddy Fazbear III. So why go to all this trouble? Why turn an innocent security guard into an animatronic? And the leader of the animatronics, no less. Well, you must understand that all the Purple Guy's victims so far have been children. And even with powerful robotic forms, there's still a band of kids fighting a crafty adult. The Purple Guy has successfully killed children at a Fredbear establishment not once, not twice, but as of Night 3 and Five Nights 2, 3 times! With the restaurant going into lockdown even as a second game is being played. The Purple Guy is smart, infiltrating the restaurant and framing other employees to take the fall for his acts and strike again and again. It's like the Goonies are trying to fight Magneto. So the marionette, who is always thinking, comes up with a plan and calls for a drastic action. The animatronics are going to recruit an adult, someone already dedicated to keeping people safe, who's proved himself to be equally crafty and allied to join their cause. Permanently. This is why, during the 8-bit minigames, the Annies are sharing their memories with you, explaining what happened as clearly as their damaged electronic minds can communicate, and all the while imploring you to help them, save him! They need your help! Most of the animatronics have no trouble biting off your frontal lobe, if it leads to stopping the Purple Guy and saving countless children's lives. Freedom! Most of them yell as they prepare to jam the endoskull into you. Indeed, most of them are very happy to see you. However, some, like poor Chica, try an emotional appeal, giving you eyes imploring for help when you stop looking at her 4 sets of teeth. She even gives you her most precious possession in the world, the paper plate sculpture she made while alive, back when she was human and had hands. Sadly, it's not enough to communicate what's wrong. On a positive note, the Marionette's plan eventually succeeds, with Freddy 3 and his band finally overwhelming the Purple Guy on Night 4 of Five Nights 1. So why do you also get a garbled phone message on Night 5? Well, Freddy Fazbear was always Jeremy Fitzgerald's favorite, since he dressed up as him all the time. So why not give the phone guy, who Game 3 revealed to be the Purple Guy, the same treatment he gave the kids? Which is why you don't see the killer in corporeal animatronic form until Night 4 of Five Nights 1. Hello, phone guy. Aw, did you prefer Foxy? Yes, we learned on Night 6 of Five Nights 2 that the killer wore the Golden Freddy costume to lure the children to the back room. Golden Freddy exists only as a spirit of evil until Night 4 of the first game, when you see him solid for the first time. Just to hammer the link home, Scott Kaufman added Shadow Golden Freddy as a new rare animatronic in Five Nights 2. Shadow Freddy has the same power to suddenly crash your game as Golden Freddy did in Game 1, and upping the brightness and contrast reveals him to be purple, linking him, and by extension Golden Freddy, to the Purple Guy. He even has his own unused Death Gaze screen hidden in the game files, showing purple fur once you up the brightness and contrast. An unused image just like the Toxic Bar, which seemed designed to limit how long you could keep on the Freddy head. Scott decided it would be better if you got used to wearing the Freddy head. You're going to be wearing it for a very long time. To recap, the Purple Guy strikes for the 3rd time during Five Nights 2, and the animatronics, desperate for help, decide to recruit an adult to join them. Under the Marionette's orders, you, Jeremy Fitzgerald, became the victim of the Bite of 87, and reanimated as Freddy Fazbear III. The endoskeleton Mark II waits for the others to kill you, so it can crawl into your suit with you, and at last, you can become complete. It's me. What does the future hold for Five Nights 3? Only Scott Kaufman truly knows. But I'd bet a nice round pizza we're going to see a showdown between you, Freddy Fazbear III, and the Anti-Freddy. Phone Guy, Purple Guy, Golden Freddy. Like Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, 2 must fight and 1 shall fall. May the best monster win. or should I say, the worst one. Happy New Year, and thanks for watching.
Are you doing a show without me?
No, Gigi.
Hello everyone, Blackfoot Ferret here, with a Five Nights at Freddy's theory that shakes up everything we know and explains two of the oldest mysteries in the game. We all know the purple guy is an evil child killer, but have you ever wondered how one guy, even a mutated ninja, could overpower 5 kids at once and have time to smash them one by one to steal animatronic frames before any escaped or even called for help? The answer is simple, he didn't. Not alone. There's a second villain hiding in Fazbear's Pizza, and believe it or not, the purple guy isn't the one you should be most afraid of. First, meet the Color Brothers, the purple guy and the pink guy. Okay, he's more of magenta, but pink is simpler and in theory videos, simple is good. Most people, even me, thought they were the same person, with the purple guy being the older version. But let's take a closer look. The purple guy is tall and thin, with a long neck and a hunched forward head. He has white eyes and sometimes wears a badge and carries a tool in his hands. The pink guy, our newest friend and oldest as well, is shorter, stockier, and slightly lighter in shade, with almost no visible neck. He stands straight with black eyes. It's not just the difference in shade, the physical differences are remarkable. If Wario and Waluigi had a third set of even eviler twin brothers, it would be these guys. Or maybe it's just them. The purple guy first appears in the Game 2 minigames, sometimes ambushing 8-bit Freddy as he explores, giving the message "you can't" when he catches you, in reference to saving the kids. The pink guy first appears outside Fredbear's family diner, jumping out of his purple mobile to kill a crying child, a child who became the marionette. In Fnaf 3, the purple guy waits for each of the kid animatronics to follow Purple Freddy outside the secret room, then rushes them and stabs them in the back once they turn to leave when they find they can't enter the doorway. The pink guy shows up again in Foxy's minigame in Game 2, watching with a smile as Foxy runs into a room full of dead kids. The purple guy piloted the yellow Spring Bonnie suit when he lured the original 5 children to the back room to their doom. Later, he was scared into wearing the SB suit again while it was wet, causing the spring locks to fail and impale him, turning him into the monster spring trap. The pink guy piloted the second special suit, the yellow GF suit, and was later stuffed into it, becoming someone we'll talk about later. First, how do we know for certain that there are 2 people? For this, we again turn to our beloved unreliable narrator, the phone guy, and the things we learned in Five Nights 3. We learned of the spring animatronics, an early series which could transform from animatronics to suits people could wear once a spring crank was applied, flattening the robotic parts to the inside of the suit, where they were then held in place by spring locks. Nifty, but dangerous, because if the spring locks ever failed, the robotic parts would impale the person wearing the suit, killing them or worse. We also learned of the secret room in each restaurant that was off camera and impossible for animatronics to enter, where high-ranking employees could find safe haven in the event anything should go wrong. Digging deeper, we learned the phone guy cannot be the purple guy. He's the one that notices the spring Bonnie suit has been moved and warns people to never use use it again. Ultimately, he gives the order to have the secret rooms at most locations sealed permanently behind a false wall, locking the Spring Bonnie suit away forever, or at least until the events of Five Nights 3. Phone Guy also mentions a new character for the first time.
Priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians.
Technician singular, not plural. Fazbear Entertainment has one technician in the area, presumably to maintain the animatronics. Purple Guy must have been more than a security guard if he knows how to use the SB suit, and use a spring crank as a melee weapon to quickly suitify possessed animatronics, tearing them apart in the process. This is a person who's worked at the restaurant for some time, and is very likely the technician Phone Guy spoke of. So, Phone Guy isn't the Purple Guy. This means he's just an innocent, misunderstood bystander, right? No. Nothing could be further from the truth. We learned a lot about Phone Guy himself in Five Nights 3. With every game, Phone Guy's authority seems to grow. In Game 1, he was head of security, training new expendable night watchmen with recorded phone messages. In Fnaf 2, he reveals a deep understanding of every animatronic model design, particularly their weaknesses, almost as if he designed them himself. And in Game 3, he's in charge of not just one restaurant, but a chain in the area, acting very much as if he were CEO of the company, even ignoring the fact that working for Fazbear Entertainment beats Alaskan crab fishing for world's most dangerous occupation, and that CEO Phone Guy must be on OSHA's Terminate on Site Non-Compliance list. Phone Guy also knows things that no sane person would know, not without calling the police. Phone Guy knows exactly what it looks like when a person is crushed into an animatronic suit.
The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up.
Phone Guy knows there's more to the animatronics moving at night than just unlocking servos, and deliberately lies to you about them seeing you as an endoskeleton without a suit, when we clearly see Bonnie backstage, ignoring a bare endoskeleton, giving the camera a meaningful look. And Phone Guy knows the fate of the 5 children, and never told the public or police about it, letting the hunt for the bodies continue without success. The player is able to figure out from mysteriously appearing posters in the East Hall corner in Game 1 that most of the children's bodies remained in the animatronics, but this mystery was never solved by the police of the Five Nights world. However, Phone Guy announces that
after learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees.
multiple implies a number higher than 2, more like 5. And even dangerous as they are, if the spring lock suits have been used successfully for months, having several fail all at once is a near statistical impossibility, unless someone made it happen. Phone Guy says that this location has 2 special spring suits, but there could easily be many other standard issue spring suits in use at other locations. The very fact that Phone Guy makes a tape to explain how to use spring suits proves that there's more than 2. Otherwise, he could just teach the brave pilots in person, and Fazbear's has more than 2 characters. Spring Bonnie and Spring Freddy might simply make happy surprise appearances at each restaurant in turn, introduced as rich yellow traveling uncles. The theory that children were crushed inside spring-cranked spring-lock suits also solves a main mystery of the game, namely how one crazed man in a bunny suit was able to overpower 5 kids all at once without any of them screaming for help. The basic idea of smashing a human skeleton into a steel animatronic framework itself seems impossible. It would require strength far beyond that of a normal human. You'd have to be either an insane robot or the Hulk to achieve such a feat, and it would pulverize the body long before the stuffing was finished. Unless the animatronics were actually designed to impale humans. And as hair-trigger dangerous as the spring suits are, it's hard not to imagine that the impaling risk isn't a bug, but a deliberately designed feature. This, then, is the secret of how the purple guy killed the original 5 kids by himself. He offered to grant them a wish worthy of the worst of the Fae. How would you like to become your favorite characters, kids? Esteemed Uncle Spring Bonnie brought the 5 to the back room and opened the spring suits for them, letting them climb in and get comfortable. Then, before any of the kids realized what was happening, he spring cranked them all, releasing the animatronic parts. The kids never even had time to scream. In hindsight, it should have been obvious that we needed an additional character to complete the 5 kids' crime scene, since the killer couldn't both wear the yellow Spring Freddy suit and stuff a kid inside as well. Spring Bonnie was always there, as early as the picture along Game 1's west hallway and inside the office itself. We just learned about him after the fact. And this was part of the message of the paper plate dolls, more evidence that Spring Bonnie's Springtrap existed. Let's look at the dolls. The first time I saw a sequence of both Chicas taking interest in the first doll in Game 2, I thought Chica herself had made it, and was bringing it to your office as either a gift, a warning, or a message, as if to say, I am human! Clearly, if the second 2 dolls were Bonnie and Freddy, the first one had to be Chica, right? But then I noticed the buttons. The paper dolls have buttons, as many of the Game 2 animatronics have buttons. However, most have 2, and there's only one that has 3, the marionette, who, now that we look closer, looks a lot like the first doll in other ways as well. The second doll looks very funny, with its crooked ears and tear stains down its cheeks, but the most striking thing is that it only has 1 button. Bonnie has 2 buttons. Who only has 1 button? Springtrap. Again, with a second look, the likeness is very good. This leaves only the 3rd doll, which is clearly a version of Freddy, but something is wrong. Zooming in reveals yellow eyes, but most versions of Freddy have blue eyes. That must mean the 3rd doll is someone we'll talk about later. We were discussing Phone Guy, the worst boss in the universe. A boss so bad, he's criminal. Oh, and he likes Foxy. He loves watching Foxy.
Did Foxy ever appear in the hallway? He was always my favorite.
He loves watching Foxy even when there are other things that might be worthy of attention, like the 5 dead kids in the next room. Unless, of course, he already knew about the kids, in which case Foxy is much more interesting, especially when you think about what the guy in the Foxy spring suit is going to do next, and what he's going to tell the police when they come looking for him, and not the pink guy who watched him enter. Now it's time to use some imagination. What possible good could come from killing a child outside of a restaurant? To most people, the crime seems senseless, but they're not thinking strategically or psychopathically. You see, if you wanted to open your own restaurant and wanted to use someone else's popular character to do it, you could pay them a lot of money, or you could see that something bad happened that put their restaurant out of business. What good is a kid's place that isn't safe for kids? Fredbear's Family Diner would go bankrupt, and they'd sell the rights to Freddy and the amazing animatronic technology that animated him to anyone still willing to buy, for peanuts. You'd show up, offer them a small but given the situation more than reasonable offer, and go build your own restaurant animatronics from a fraction of the cost, without having to worry about any competition. Children everywhere would cheer the return of their favorite characters, and parents everywhere would be impressed by the new security measures. You'd be considered a hero, CEO Pink Guy old chum, and you'd make the new restaurant bigger than the last place, and better in every way. Instead of one animatronic, you'd have several. Instead of one location, you'd have many. So many that you'd only be able to manage them all with messages over the phone. And you and your right-hand man slash brother slash minion would have special suits of your own. You'd prance about like the heroes you were, in suits of gold, and the children would cheer you wherever you appeared. And what would it matter if it's all a lie? That your whole empire was based on the blood of a murdered child? Surely, all this good outweighs the cost of a single human life, especially when it serves your own needs so very well. What could possibly go wrong? The final thing we know about Phone Guy, who is none other than the pink guy himself, is that he knows the purple guy, and has for years. When faced with the knowledge that someone well acquainted with piloting the spring Bonnie suit had killed 5 kids, Phone Guy could have gone to the police. Instead, he initiated a cover-up and made sure to seal incriminating evidence away in the secret room. If the purple guy talked to the police, it would mean doom for Phone Guy as well. So he either got purple guy out of prison, framed another employee for purple guy's deeds, the guy in the Foxy suit comes to mind, or obstructed the investigation enough so that the bodies weren't found and the purple guy got a very short sentence. Why would Phone Guy hire the purple guy in the first place? You might as well ask why he designed suits for the purpose of impaling humans. Again, it's time to use some imagination. Every mad scientist needs a minion, a partner in crime, someone skillful enough to be useful, weak enough to be controlled, and discreet enough to do the boring and dirty things that need to be done so you can continue your all-important work without interruption. Especially if you can't stand the sight of blood. Remember how Pink Guy was going to make the restaurant better? The only things better than robots who do well at pretending to be alive are robots who actually are alive. It's long been the dream of science fiction to find a way to transfer the consciousness of a human into a stronger, smarter, longer-lasting robot body. And you can't make such an important omelet without breaking a few eggs along the way. Models needed to be tested, perfected, inspected, and rejected before taking the plunge and undergoing such a process yourself. The funds generated by the Fazbear restaurants helped Phone Guy get the best laboratory gear money could buy. But he needed test subjects as well, which one he could not buy. So he turned the restaurant about a bear into a honeypot, and had the subjects come to him. If some kids or security guards disappeared along the way,
These things happen sometimes.
even Disneyland has had fatalities, the restaurant could withstand the occasional incident now and then. We see some of CEO Phone Guy's mad reasoning in the ghost posters and newspaper clippings. His vow that these robots will live on in the hearts of children sounds like a Walt Disney Vision statement until you apply the mad scientist logic filter and realize Phone Guy is making robots powered by literal human children's hearts. The mad scientist mindset is also revealed in the complete passage quoted in the garbled night via phone call, an excerpt from the autobiography of a yogi. Sir, it is lamentable that mass agricultural development is not speeded by the fuller use of your marvelous mechanisms. Would it not be easily possible to employ some of them in quick laboratory experiments to indicate the influence of various types of fertilizer on plant growth? You are right. Countless uses of Bose instruments will be made by future generations. The scientist seldom knows contemporaneous reward. It is enough to possess the joy of creative service. Paraphrased, your machines are not used or appreciated by the public now, but they will be in the future. If you allow it, my experiments will prove their usefulness. I don't care about rewards. Doing science itself is enough. This could be a letter from Phone Guy to the original owner of Fredbear's Family Diner, the builder of the first animatronic, an innocent machine made to entertain children. Phone Guy is convincing him to sell over the rights, but has a very different vision of what the animatronics might become. This explains why Phone Guy left 4 kids in suits and let them rot there for years and years, and why, in spite of having every reason to either burn the possessed animatronics and hide the evidence, or stay away from the robots to keep out of range of their vengeance, Phone Guy stayed in the restaurant himself each night, at a large risk to his own person. He needed to study the kids to see how well each model was working, performing experiments, making adjustments when necessary, attempting to control them with only limited success. Naturally, this work was very messy, so he had his faithful/coerced minion by his side for that. The next few jumps are tricky, and the only way to advance is by asking another question. We know Phone Guy gave the order for the secret rooms to be sealed, but he apparently died, overwhelmed and stuffed into a Freddy suit by the kids in the 4th night phone call of Game 1. But in Game 3, we see the demise of all the Game 1 animatronics when Purple Guy comes back, braving incredible danger to hunt down 4 killer robots in a restaurant that's been abandoned for years, all to re-kill the same kids he already killed years earlier. We know Springtrap was in the secret room when Dude Guy uncovered it, so he must have been inside when the sealing happened, which means the sealing must have happened after the mini-games of Game 3, which happened after Phone Guy died. How could Phone Guy order the sealing after his death? If he had the foresight to predict his own death, wouldn't he have the foresight to avoid it? To get to the answer, we need to first play a little game. I'm going to ask you a question, and we're going to see how well you know your Five Nights lore and how well you've been paying attention. The question is, can you name an animatronic that physically survived until the time of Five Nights 3 besides Springtrap? A lot of you will probably say the marionette, and as much as I'd like it to be the case, it isn't so. Many have pointed out the marionette's mask seems to disappear whenever Springtrap gets too close on camera 8. However, look closely. The reason the mask is dark is that Springtrap is blocking the light, but you can still see the shadow of the mask's chin in spite of it. The mask hasn't moved, it's just very hard to see. And while the marionette's image looks lifelike right down to the reflection, it still has the burned phantom look in your office. The clincher, though, is that the marionette's paper play doll lays defeated in the office box along with the trashed toy animatronic heads. The marionette is dead. The next popular answer would be Mangle, since she is never expressly named as one of the phantom animatronics at the end of the game. But if you enhance her image in camera 4, she is burnt, just like the others, and the top part of her head is in the box as well. Mangle is dead. Nobody seems to know where Bonnie's ghost went, although from the minigames it's pretty clear he got ripped apart as well. And many of the toy animatronic ghosts aren't accounted for either. Anything's possible, but the answer I'm looking for is someone we're sure is alive, someone we never saw die. Perhaps I should rephrase the question. In Five Nights 3, who is still standing? We know that Springtrap is alive, not just because his menacing presence is everywhere, but because of this. Springtrap's paper doll is still standing, which means Spring Bonnie is still alive. And so is Spring Freddy. A much darker, yellower version of the third doll lurks in the game files of Five Nights 3, and while I haven't found a screenshot of it appearing in-game, it was clearly meant to be found. 2 standing paper plates. 2 yellow paper plates, and 2 yellow characters on stage in the secret minigames at what must be the first Fazbear Entertainment restaurant. If the first paper plate is the marionette, and the second paper plate heralds the arrival of Spring Bonnie/Springtrap, it stands to reason that the third paper sculpture tells of the continued existence of Spring Freddy, even if he's outside the attraction. Spring Freddy, a second adult human crushed inside a Springlock suit. What would he look like? Probably similar to Springtrap in many ways. 1, run down. 2, organics and robotics meshed together. 3, probably very angry. 4, once realistic for a kid's restaurant, which is why our new friend Nightmare Freddy, with his sprouting demonic heads, is out of the running. Beyond this, we can come up with a million theories about how Spring Freddy might look, but in the end, such theorizing is useless. Because we already have a picture. And, as you can tell from the sharp, bloody fangs and longer, broader snout, this isn't Springtrap. This is a composite image, derived from the famous I Am Still Here teaser image for Five Nights 3. I am still here? What a strange thing to say. We've never met Spring Freddy until now, so how could we, A, know he was here before, and B, think he had left? Unless we have met this creature before, and had a very good reason to believe he was gone. Which means the phone guy must be the one, the only.
Power Thirst, uncomfortably energetic, 400 baby, the energy drink that will make you sword. What are you waiting for?
Well, I've been pretty mysterious so far, haven't I? I've avoided saying the name of one famous character over and over again, despite so many chances to deliver the bombshell revelation. So why don't I just come out and say it? Why don't I stand on the mountaintop and tell the world below that phone guy is Golden Freddy? Because it's wrong. Phone Guy is the pink guy, the designer of the restaurants, CEO of Fazbear Entertainment, the designer of the animatronic spring suits, and pilot, designer, and co-builder of the special GF suit with the help of Purple Guy the technician. And he was permanently stuffed into the GF suit and spring cranked before his research was complete by the kids during Game 1, Night 4 phone call. But Phone Guy is not Golden Freddy. It's time to tell the story of our third color-themed character, an old friend, which, despite his repeated attempts to kill us along with the other animatronics, is far more likable than the Color Brothers. Child number 5, Golden Freddy, the hero of Five Nights 3. We've all seen the last 5th cutscene of Game 3, where he plays the ghost of a crying child without a suit, finally enter the secret room, and scare the Purple Guy into using the Spring Bunny suit in spite of being wet, causing the springs to give up, and Purple Guy being crushed and transformed into Springtrap. What we haven't seen is the beginning of this story, and just what a poetic reversal the confrontation is. We established earlier that the Purple Guy, likely under orders from the Pink Guy, donned the SP suit and tempted the 5 kids to climb into the other spring suits, and raced about with rabbit speed to spring crank the children, impaling them within the animatronics. The Pink Guy forgot to mention one important detail, though, exactly which suits the Purple Guy should use for the deed. So after Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were loaded, Purple Guy got a dark idea. Whether it was inspired by a sense of impish rebellion against the Pink Guy, or the irresistible prospect causing more anguish to an even larger number of people, Purple Guy made a choice Heath Ledger's Joker would approve of. He put the 5th child into the boss's own golden GF suit. We know this for a fact because of the Happiest Day Final Secret minigame, where the marionette delivers the last cake to the 5th child as the first 4 look on, and child number 5 dons a lighter color Freddy mask that mirrors child number 1's. Child number 5 is indeed Golden Freddy, and was stuffed into that suit. However, once Phone Guy discovered what had happened, he was furious. Phone Guy was content to let the first 4 children rot away in their respective suits, but finding the very symbol of his own authority, his personal spiffed-up, tricked-out, deluxe golden GF suit hopelessly defiled by a child's blood and guts, it was too much! He had child number 5's body removed and disposed of, and did what he could to repair his beloved suit. What became of child number 5's body, we may never know, but we do know that his spirit refused to leave the restaurant. This is a special thing about Golden Freddy. While the others became possessed suits of furry power armor a la Full Metal Alchemist, Golden Freddy has no suit of his own, and has always been a ghost from the beginning. This is why in the Give Life minigame, Golden Freddy has no body to receive a gift, appearing as a dead child for 1 frame before jump-scaring the player. And this is why you see the light shining from inside Golden Freddy's spectral head in the bad ending of Five Nights 3, and why the head is completely missing in the good end, once the spirits have departed along with the lights. There never was a physical head there. Speaking of ghosts, those with a good eye will have already noticed that Phantom Freddy in Game 3 is none other than Golden Freddy himself. Real Freddy might be in charge, but Golden Freddy is the expert at being a ghost, so he takes the lead this game, with child number 1 filling the rare spooky office cameo role instead. They all work together to scare the pants off the utter morons who broke open the secret room and unleashed Springtrap upon an unsuspecting world again, thinking it would sell lots of carnival tickets. Remember the stupid guy who read the Necronomicon and summoned Cthulhu and was then eaten by Same? You're basically that guy in the 3rd game. It's no wonder the kids don't like you. Speaking of the kids, have you noticed how their ghosts still retain the shape and properties of the suits they were stuffed into, in spite of no longer having a physical presence? Keep this in mind, it becomes important later. Going back to Golden Freddy, it might be possible for him to possess the GF suit when it isn't being piloted by a human. But, as we can clearly see in Five Nights 2, someone is piloting the GF suit. This, in every external physical detail, looks to be the very same suit, in the very same pose as Golden Freddy when child number 5 fades into your office. But this isn't him. Meet color character number 4, Purple Freddy, the physical GF suit being piloted by a human. He isn't actually purple, just appears that way through the true-seeing power of simple 8-bit vision and image enhancement, showing us that this isn't Golden Freddy. This is Spring Freddy, although it's an early version. In Game 2, the suit has yet to be renovated, spring-cranked with Phone Guy inside, and given time to ferment into the future organic mechanical horror we see in Springtrap. But Purple Freddy is destined to become a foe far more terrifying than the Bunny Man. Notice how the eyes light up so brightly? We see the same thing from the spring Bonnie suit when Purple Guy enters it. That definitely means there's a human inside. The 8-bit Golden Freddy sprites from the second game show this property as well. You can think of Purple Freddy as Golden Freddy's opposite. The colors purple and yellow, aka gold, as Golden Freddy was originally called Yellow Bear in Game 1, are opposites on the color wheel, which is why Purple Freddy is purple. He's the inverse of Golden Freddy. Evil instead of good, physical instead of ghostly, a guilty adult instead of an innocent child, purple instead of gold. And Purple Freddy is the key to the huge elephant in the room question in Game 3 that set everything in motion. Why did the purple guy come back? If our purple pal was trying to be cruel, the most sadistic thing he could have done was nothing. Just leave the rusting robots in their leaking restaurant until time and the elements blissfully obliterated them at last. Extend their suffering for decades at no personal risk whatsoever. Not that I'd accuse a child killer of advanced reasoning skills, but while an adult overpowering 5-10-year-olds is sadistic and messed up, outfitting those same 5 kids with towering suits of furry power armor, and then dueling all 4 of the remaining suits to the death one after another while armed with nothing but his wits and a hit them first or die horribly spring crank tool is just plain stupid. Even deranged psychos understand that self-preservation is a positive thing that should be a very high priority. So what in the devil's doom domain could inspire the purple guy to challenge 4 killer robots with every reason to hate him, to play Mortal Kombat against him and his trusty stick? There's only one explanation, that the person who ordered him to go back into the restaurant scared him even more than the kids did. And look who else we find lurking about the restaurant. Purple Freddy, Spring Freddy, Springtrap's cursed fraternal twin, the GF suit permanently stuffed with a large helping of Phone Guy. Since we don't know Spring Freddy's cool supervillain name yet, I'm going to simplify things and call this creature Phone Freddy. It's lame, but it's simple, and in theory videos, simple is good. It's very unlikely that Purple Guy could defeat Phone Freddy the same way he did the kids. Phone Guy designed the suits, and with a bit of grim self-operation, he could make himself spring crank proof. The GF suit is also advanced, and acts like real power armor under its cute funtime exterior. And Phone Guy is one of the craftiest people who used to be alive. No innocent white-eyed kid trying to relearn how to walk. Phone Freddy has also either retained or regained the use of Phone Guy's voice, since we know he gave the order to seal the secret rooms after his stuffing. So Phone Freddy can still pretend to be Phone Guy, as if nothing whatsoever were horribly wrong. Chances are Phone Guy even wore the GF suit around the office, so people are used to seeing it and know it's him. And most office folks are wise enough not to annoy an eccentric boss with probing questions, especially when he can literally rip off your head when he gets mad. There's no law in the US to keep a deranged undead robotic Ursine Terminator from being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, so Phone Freddy might have kept things going for quite a while before people began to really notice the changes, and he could simply run things as a voice over the phone for much longer. Phone Freddy would have his choice of intimidations when it came to handling the troublesome Purple Guy. He could threaten to release all the extensive videos of him killing children, or he could lazily bite off Purple Guy's head. He felt generous enough to give the troublesome technician his personal choice of doom for not following orders. Phone Freddy also has an excellent reason to return to the restaurant: revenge. Like any Scooby-Doo villain who knows just how humiliating it is to have your ingenious plans foiled by a group of 5 weirdly dressed kids in a hipster van, Phone Guy has been downgraded from being Dr. Frankenstein to instead being the monster named after him, famous for cavorting with Tonto and Tarzan when he isn't playing Patriarch to the Munsters. Just the thing to bruise a psychopath's infinite ego. And this revenge isn't limited only to the 5 kids in question. If anything should happen to the Purple Guy himself along the way, bonus. Phone Freddy is now permanently stuck in a suit that smells like failure and dead kid. The Purple Guy being responsible for at least one of those things. Ever try to put on an old fursuit head that someone else has sweated and farted in for over a decade? Gross! Blech. Also, having Spring Bonnie and his pilot sealed away from the world for a few decades removes the chance of Purple Guy blackmailing Phone Freddy back, or leaking the news that he's really a monster to a press very willing to believe and report such things. Revenge on the kids, revenge on the Purple Guy. Five Nights 3 was a win for Phone Freddy. There's also no sign of the GF suit when child number 5 enters the secret room, although we've seen it enter the room repeatedly, evidence that someone else walked away with it or in it. Purple Guy's been cowering in the secret room, waiting for Phone Freddy to learn an animatronic, then diving out to stab them in the back before retreating back to safety, leaving the suit pieces behind. If salvage was the goal, the Color Brothers would have gathered up the robotic pieces. Instead, they left them strewn about the room like garbage. Revenge had to be the motive. Child number 5 appears to us as a little crying ghost because he has no suit of his own, and 8-bit vision shows the truth of things. The Purple Guy, though, child number 5 looks like this. Which is why Purple Guy is freaking out big time. Which goes back to child number 5 and Purple Guy, and the issue where each of the Phantoms still resemble the suit they were stuffed into. The Purple Guy thought he was safe in the secret room, After all, no animatronics can enter it. At least that's what the phone guy said, but think back, and you'll notice you've already seen an animatronic enter the secret room over and over. Phone Freddy can enter it. After all, Phone Guy designed the restaurants with secret rooms so they might save his personal bacon if anything went wrong. Sure, he told you no animatronics can enter, but Spring Bonnie can go back there. And did you really think he would put such a restriction in his own suit? One of the advanced features of the GF suit is they can enter the secret rooms. This is why you see 4 ghosts hanging out at the entrance of the secret room during the final confrontation with the purple guy. They don't enter the secret room because they can't enter the secret room. Each ghost has the form and restrictions of the animatronics they were stuffed into. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy cannot enter the secret room, but Golden Freddy can. And so it was that when Purple Guy made his sick joke and stuffed child number 5 into the boss's GF suit, he unwittingly created a being with the power to destroy him. When child number 5 barged into the secret room, Purple Guy knew he was toast. After several moments of panicking and dancing away from the glowing bear specter chasing him, knowing the other 4 would tear him apart if he tried the door, Purple Guy made a last desperate gambit, turning once again to the Spring Bonnie suit, assuming to think he would protect him. But the roof was leaking and the springs were wet, and the rest is history. So why is the Color Brothers theory so important? Besides clarifying all the events we've gone over so far, it's the key to unlocking another great mystery of the series. First, though, I have another question for you. If we know that this is child number 5, and this is child number 5, and this is Phone Freddy, and this is Phone Freddy, who is this? This one is really hard. Let's review everything we know about the very first Golden Freddy. His appearances are random in the first game, but always begin with the West Hall corner picture changing to his jump scare image, accompanied by the sound of a spectral child giggling. The next time you close the camera screen, Golden Freddy is in the room. You can banish him by putting up the camera again, but if you stare at him for 5 seconds, you get his jump scare, the unique sound of a roaring adult. And then the screen goes black. No image of you stuffed into a Freddy suit. No way to return to the title screen. The game is over for good. It's long been argued that Golden Freddy must be a ghost or a hallucination because his image doesn't appear on any of the background cameras in the office. However, these cameras are finicky at best. Usually the cameras are completely black and show nothing as the game advances. We can't see what they show during Bonnie and Chica's jump scares because they completely block line of sight. The cameras only truly activate when Foxy steps through the door, as if there's some sort of motion trigger in the doorway. For an instant, you can also see Freddy in the cameras just when his jump scare begins, although whether this is the camera image or the mere reflection of him in the glass, it's hard to tell. If Golden Freddy got into the office through a Ford Hatcher vent, he might have avoided activating the motion sensors. If he entered quickly and silently while the doors were up, the cameras might have deactivated before you took a look. He blocks the left monitors, and the right ones are too far away to show a reflection. And we would have to triangulate all the vision fields in the right side camera system to make sure they cover the exact spot in the office where Golden Freddy appears, which is hard because the images don't seem entirely consistent. To make the case that the original GF is child number 5, we can say the giggling sound that plays during the picture is his, and the adult screaming sound at the end is Mike Schmidt losing his crap. Child number 5 is a ghost, so this is entirely consistent with the ghost invisible on the cameras theory. However, we can also make the case that GF is a freshly stuffed Phone Freddy, still reeling and delirious and furious after the trauma, willing to lash out at anyone or anything, too nearly minted a monster to have yet developed the horrid mechanical organic mashup we see in Springtrap. The pink guy has black eyes, which could be why the original GF has tiny pinpricks and gaping empty eye holes. Literally speaking, there's a human body inside that suit, but metaphorically speaking, the suit is empty, filled by a killer devoid of the living soul which animates most of us. Phone Guy designed the restaurants and would know any hidden means of getting about, so it's not inconceivable he knows a way into your office other than the doors, and moving quickly and silently might be advanced powers of the GF suit. And viewing the event from the perspective that Phone Freddy is our visitor, the giggling noise of the portrait could be the kids laughing at Phone Freddy after they stuffed him, rubbing their victory in, and the unique adult roar you hear during the jump scare is Phone Freddy himself, howling out in anger as he tears the player limb from limb. This would also explain the blackness at the end. Mike Schmidt has not been stuffed into a Freddy suit to return as a robotic zombie. Mike Schmidt is actually and truly dead, game permanently over. Now we have an impasse. There are compelling arguments for the original GF to be either child number 5 or Phone Freddy. Is there any way to break this tie? There is. However, to find it, we have to ask one final question. one of the most famous questions ever asked about the game. Who is Mike Schmidt? Going meta for a moment, we know Scott Cawthon has admitted in a message that he's had 2 beta testers helping him from the beginning, and that I'm sure you can guess who they are. These must be the real-world Mike Schmidt and Jeremy Fitzgerald. True heroes indeed for playing these games over and over and over. Scott would make sure to give each of his friends an important character in the game, with the player getting to be the protagonist and Scott himself playing the principal villain as the phone guy. If you've seen my first episode of The Final Theory, you know what I think happened to Jeremy Fitzgerald, who he ends up becoming, and what he then did to ruin Phone Guy's plans of culinary conquest. He's a hero whose story remains to be told, who endured great personal sacrifice and may never be recognized by the world. We don't see the name of the player in Game 3 because he isn't important. One of 2 schmucks who were tricked into releasing Springtrap was more or less the star of Game 3 himself. Mike got to star in Game 1, Jeremy starred in Game 2, so Mike got to go again in Game 3, and Jeremy is bound to show up again in Game 4. Fritz Smith, the temp of Night 7 of Game 2, is only a minor character who gets fired the very same night. Fritz is a common German first name, while Smith is a common English last name, so the game itself sounds made up. The only really important role Fritz has is to show you that on Night 7, Jeremy is gone, which leaves the security guard of Game 1, the enigmatic Mike Schmidt. And while I criticized him in comments in the first Game 3 episode for his conclusion about Game 1, I must now apologize to MatPat, because in the first episode, he got it right on the first shot. I've always wanted to say that Mike Schmidt was the purple guy, but going by the single villain theory, it seemed impossible. There were too many contradictions. Clearly the phone guy was a bad guy as well, so didn't phone guy have to be the purple guy? But if phone guy is the purple guy, why on heck is he recording messages to himself? Is this some weird version of the movie Memento? And then we learn on Night 4 that phone guy, the purple guy, is dead, so Mike Schmidt can't possibly be him. What the heck? Then who is he? We get a clue with how the animatronics treat each security guard differently. In Game 2, the animatronics are indeed trying to kill Jeremy Fitzgerald, but not because of hatred. They want to stuff him into a Freddy suit because they like him and want him to join them in their fight against the Color Brothers. So while they're trying to get him, they also treat Jeremy with a strange level of respect and seem genuinely glad to see him. Jeremy is afraid, but afraid for his life, not his very soul. And seeing the animatronics doesn't give him a mind-rending psychotic episode. But Mike? The animatronics hate Mike. The animatronics hate Mike Schmidt. And now, with the Color Brothers theory, we know something we didn't know before. Phone guy isn't the purple guy. He's the pink guy, CEO of the company and the purple guy's boss, which leaves an important vacancy in the cast list. So now I can finally say, without any dithering or uncertainty, that Mike Schmidt is the purple guy, the pilot of Spring Bonnie and the future Springtrap. Which is why Mike never quits his job, never leaves. He's just following orders. He knows what his boss will do to him if he fails him again. And while all 4 of the animatronics scare Mike Schmidt, there's someone else in the restaurant, a presence that scares him more than the other 4 combined. The Phantom that keeps changing the pictures on the walls, taunting him with evidence of his deeds, a force that can write text on walls even behind a delicate spider web, a creature who seems to be everywhere and nowhere, the rebel who doesn't follow the rules, the cruel joke which is now on him, the monster he created himself, and the one he knows in his bones is going to get him in the end. Child number 5, Golden Freddy. It's him. Five Nights 4 is coming out on Halloween. Is this really going to be the final chapter? No, not by a long shot. First, the Nightmare animatronics are so incredibly over the top that there's no way anyone could have intended to place them in a restaurant for children. They are quite literally the worst thing anyone could imagine. Creatures that could only exist in nightmares. Then, there's the reverberating 8s and 7s all over the original page code and inside Foxy's eyes, referencing back to the Bite of 87. And each Nightmare animatronic seems to be taunting you and ask, was it me? Which likely places Game 4 somewhere between Game 2 and 1 on the timeline, between 1987 and 1993, and maybe from the perspective of the victim of the Bite of 87 himself. The phrase "the final chapter" was famously used by the 4th Friday the 13th movie, and Jason X, 6 movies later, is the one where the world's most brutal hockey enthusiast went into space. Nightmare Freddy's knife fingers are an easy reference to Freddy's namesake Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, a child killer turned demonic spirit who kills people in their dreams after turning them into nightmares. And his sprouting demonic heads are a clear shot to Dream Warriors, the 3rd movie in the series, and arguably the best movie in the franchise. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying stuff. Oh, and the release date of Dream Warriors? February 27th, 1987. So Game 4 will likely reveal more about the Bite of 87 as her victim fades in and out of consciousness, desperately trying to stay awake and not slip too long into the realm of nightmares, where literally anything could happen. But there are many more chapters of the story waiting to be written. We haven't met the genius behind the first animatronic and seen the fall of Fredbear's Family Diner. We haven't seen the very first Fazbear restaurant and the rise of the Color Brothers. And we know next to nothing about the mysterious Shadow Bonnie. What hand has he had in this mayhem? I'm still not entirely certain of what all happened the day the second 5 children who became the toy animatronics were killed. If each toy animatronic is the counterpart to one of the originals, then Balloon Boy is the counterpart to Golden Freddy. What part does he play in this story? We've been told that Game 3 occurs 30 years after the last Fazbear restaurant closed its doors, but we've never been told what year it is in Game 3. Dude Guy in the newspaper repeatedly called the restaurant ancient and its technology prehistoric. 30 years is a long time, but not so long as to earn such powerful words. Maybe Game 3 isn't in 2023. Maybe it's in 2123. If the Bite of 87 put Fazbear Entertainment out of business for 6 years before it returned once again as a children's restaurant, then what level of blazing daylight massacre could force the chain to close for 30 years and abandon the idea of ever being a kids' restaurant again? We may have skipped over one or several restaurants between 1993 and whenever Game 3 occurs. And then we have the excellent hook Game 3 left us, and the sequel for future games as well.
We found some great new relics over the weekend, and we're out tracking down a new lead right now. Trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So we're going to take a peek and see what we can find. Okay, keep an eye on things, and we'll try to have something new for you tomorrow night.
Someone from outside the restaurant, who never identified himself to Dude Guy and claimed to be the designer of one of the buildings, gave Dude Guy a tip about where to find the secret room in this particular building. A tip most likely delivered by phone call, a call that resulted in releasing Mike Schmidt upon the world again. Love them or hate them, masters need minions. Perhaps without Mike at his side, Phone Freddy wasn't able to keep the company and himself together, especially once the senior management began to flee from his deteriorating robotic corpse. And after decades of trying failed schemes by himself, unable to fit in with the rest of humanity, unable to die, he finally decided Springtrap had been punished enough and resolved to get the band back together. Or perhaps there's still a hidden spark of tortured humanity inside Phone Freddy, an often ignored piece that after decades of being run down, despised, and alone, craved to hear the voice of a friend once more. And the only creature in the world approaching the status of friend to him was an undead, sadistic, robotic legomorph. Which is sad, but when you choose to be an evil psychopath, that's what you get. We know that Mike survived the fire, and so oddly did a small Freddy doll, but all that might just be the same one that housed the magical music box from Game 2, whatever powers it might possess. Whoever wins that lucky auction might just have a pair of uninvited guests. And here we end our story, looking forward to Halloween when Game 4 comes out. And while it's easy to make theories, we never really know what to expect. But make no mistake, we have more to worry about than ever before. The purple guy is no longer the scariest monster we might encounter. Spring Bonnie is alive. Spring Freddy is alive. And no matter if our next adventure takes us to the past, the present, or the future, all who enter the world of Five Nights at Freddy's must fear the Color Brothers!
I've seen your face in the shadows, and I've seen your face in the places I wasn't meant to be. I've heard them whisper about you, I've heard the men in the bars, and I've seen the women lock the doors at night. Lock your doors tonight. They say your eyes are on fire, they say you've killed a man for walking the wrong side of the line. Wrong side of the line. But well, they say a lot of foolish things. Maybe I'm the only words I can find to believe in on that. They say
Hello everyone, Blackfoot Ferret here. I've completed my second floor reading of the new Fnaf novel The Silver Eyes, and I have a lot to share with you today. First, the book is amazing. It obviously was handcrafted over 10 months and features a beautiful character-driven narrative involving several kids, many adults, a few lovingly dangerous robots, and more than one villain. If the movie is anything like this novel, we're all in for a real treat, which is why this video is not about that story. If you'd like a sample of the novel, check out Rosbowski's reading or pick up the digital, physical, and hopefully soon audio version of The Silver Eyes from Kindle or whatever it might be by now. This video is about all the game-relevant bits of lore that are hidden throughout the novel. What can The Silver Eyes and its parallel world tell us about the hidden story of the games? And what specifically does this novel confirm or disprove on my own Fnaf series, The Final Theory? The book is definitely in another world. The timeline has changed, with the main 5 children being abducted over several months in 1985. The story begins 10 years later when Charlie, the daughter of the inventor of the animatronics, returns to the town she fled after her friend Michael became the 5th child to vanish at Freddy's, to attend a memorial in his honor. All the kids have distinct appearances, and none of them appear in the Fnaf minigames. The story is told both in real time and in Charlie's flashbacks and occasional nightmares to come with each new discovery she and her friends make. The restaurant, which of course they visit repeatedly, is heavily modeled after Fnaf 1. Foxy resides in Pirate's Cove. Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica are on the stage, and Golden Freddy goes wherever he wants. There's an office, a bathroom, a closet, and a kitchen, and doors that stop animatronics and psychos with varying degrees of success. That being said, traces of Fnaf 2 can be found in the carousel and side party rooms, even though there's no sign of the toy animatronics. The arcade from Fnaf 3 takes a lot of damage, and we know the origin story of 2 characters from the 3rd game by the end of the book. There may even be shades of Fnaf 4 locked away in the old house of Charlie's father. The novel creates another world adjacent to the Fnaf game world, with a new set of mysteries of its own. However, in the process of telling its story, Silver Eyes reveals major details about the background of the Fnaf games themselves, details that cross dimensions that are relevant to both worlds, essential clues for any theorist trying to solve the story. So now that my foreshadowing is done, it's time for the public service announcement. From here on out, this video will contain massive spoilers. No, massive spoilers. Again, massive spoilers! So if you haven't read the book or listened to it, please go and do that before I ruin these discoveries for you. Huge things happen in this book, and it's best to discover them yourself. Then, when you're done, we can come back here and finish our chat. Now, for those continuing on, put batteries in your flashlight and put on your Freddy head, because we're going for a dangerous wild ride. Item 1. The Purple Guy's the Fnaf 1 Night Watchman. After finding Freddy strangely intact and breaking into it a few times, Charlie and her friends find the night guard waiting for them. Rather than arresting them, he accepts her invitation to join them in exploring Freddy's. This man is described as immediately off-putting, tall and slightly too thin for his uniform, which bagged at the shoulders and waist, as if he used to be larger and better health. Later, sneaking around Freddy's, he moved fast, scuttling almost sideways and darting his eyes back over his hunched shoulders. So our night watchman basically looks like this. Then, our friend the Purple Guy has a life-changing epiphany. When introducing himself to the kids, he looks down in surprise at his own name tag, pointing to it, and realizing, my name tag says Dave, so Dave must be my name! Okay, so Dave quickly proves that he's more than just a security guard. Earlier, the kids discovered 2 hidden mini control rooms, each the size of a refrigerator laying on its side, which each controlled half of the lights and animatronics at Freddy's, allowing a 2-man team to program and maneuver the robots completely out of view of the main office. The kids have little luck using the unmarked controls, but Dave instantly and fluently activates them to make the robots dance, clearly having used them before. Item 2. The Purple Guy is the murderer and wore the yellow Bonnie suit. Once in Freddy's, Dave sets up a distraction, then slips away to the main office to retrieve and put on the yellow spring Bonnie suit, then grabs one of the kids in the confusion. Jason witnesses the grab and swears that Bonnie did the kidnapping, although regular Bonnie is still on stage. It's quickly revealed in flashbacks and further attacks that Dave has done this many times before. Item 3. All the children were killed in Springlock suits. Charlie's flashbacks reveal Fredbear's family diner, the establishment with the 2 yellow spring animatronics, which alternated between fluid human motions or jerky robotic movements, depending if a human was in them or if they were set to animatronic mode. Charlie's dad demonstrates the dangers of spring locks and why you should never play with them. Back at Freddy's, Dave traps his abducted kid into one of the first characters Henry, Charlie's father, ever made. A crude suit we don't recognize, but is clearly a spring lock suit, which threatens to go off and crush the kid with every slight motion. This is a spring suit, the yellow suits were spring suits, and it quickly becomes clear that Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were all spring suits as well. Item 4. Spring lock failures are a chain reaction. Any small movement can set off a spring lock, especially the jarring impact of another one firing nearby. So spring lock failures are like dominoes or firecrackers. They quickly spread throughout the suit like wildfire, releasing the animatronic parts and fully impaling anyone inside. These chain reactions are demonstrated twice in the book, once attempting to free the kid, and again at the climax of the book, where we get to see firsthand the process by which a human in a spring suit becomes a possessed animatronic. Item 5. Spring suits suits act as power armor. Why would anyone voluntarily wear these walking death traps? We see many people injured by snapping spring locks during the book, and Dave has a massive symmetrical scar collection that shows just how much damage spring locks can do to the human body even when you use them properly. Yet both Dave and Charlie's father Henry, the inventor of the suits, wore spring suits for years as the Yellow Bear and Rabbit team at Fredbear's Family Diner, and later again at Freddy's itself. And our good friend Dave is happy to show the kids, and a poor policeman who came by, just how easily even an emaciated man can overpower people and toss them around like toys when you're wearing a spring suit. The animatronics can toss arcade machines across the room, as can any human armed with such a suit. Item 6, but that isn't the true purpose of the spring suits. We're clearly missing something. If strength was the goal, an inventor as brilliant as Henry could just as easily have made a powered exoskeleton without any spring locks or impaling risk. But Dave feels an almost religious attachment to his yellow bunny suit, seeming deflated and empty whenever without it, and gaining a strange wild vitality whenever in it, as if part of himself had been restored. Later, when captured, Dave refuses to even talk to Charlie and company until they place the yellow Bonnie helmet on him. Then he adopts an entirely different voice and personality. His human eyes turn glassy, as if the suit is talking instead of him. Not Dave claims that the robots will kill all the kids, but not him because I am one of them. We see these glassy eyes of another character, as John shares a memory about the day Michael was abducted. First, the animatronics went crazy on the stage. Then a bear who was not Freddy walked up to the table, while a human technician walked up to the stage, much in the same way the animatronics freak out at the sight of Dave when Charlie and friends visit. The bear had dead yet functional human eyes, and was the only one not watching the chaos on stage. Then the bear, who John remembers later was yellow, and Michael both vanished. Henry and Dave are found together in multiple memories and pictures throughout the novel, with Henry always wearing the yellow spring Fredbear suit, and Dave wearing the yellow spring Bonnie suit. Whenever they wear the suits, they mentally change gears into their personas as Fredbear and Springtrap. Take Bruce Wayne, for example. Bruce Wayne is the costume, the careless playboy facade he shows the world. It's only when evil strikes that he puts on the cool winged mammal costume to avenge the innocent that he dons his true persona, that of Batman. Yes, dear viewers, Batman is a furry. You can stop calling us lame. So the possibility of being impaled with the spring suits is clearly a design choice from the beginning. Many rows of spare costume heads in the wall and strange robot toys Henry made for Charlie at the old house have a strange self-awareness about them. And by the end of the novel, we learn from an impeccable source that the souls of the dead children are indeed residing within the animatronics. Item 7. Golden Freddy is a ghost, a good guy, and child number 5. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy have a major disadvantage. Whenever they shut down, it seems to reset their short-term memory, making it hard for them to tell between friend or foe. Fortunately for them, they have someone they can turn to for answers who doesn't forget. Because Golden Freddy isn't an animatronic anymore. He's a ghost. The first paranormal sign at Freddy's is when the children's drawings begin to change, and tell the story of a kid being kidnapped by Bonnie, ordering to leave the restaurant, which comes too late. Then Golden Freddy appears to the kid trapped in the old Springlock suit, calming them down, then revealing the horrible secret of exactly how animatronics are made. Charlie and the kid both see Golden Freddy at the same time, and she recognizes the suit as the very same one her father used to wear at Fredbear's Family Diner, except this one appears empty, slumped in the corner, with 2 pinpricks of light for eyes, and then vanishes without a trace. Then, at a truly terrible moment in the story, Golden Freddy appears out of thin air, a golden bear suit standing upright with nothing to support it inside, and reveals his greatest secret, that he is Michael, their friend, and the last of the 5 children abducted during the months of disappearances at Freddy's. The kids move to hug him, but a distraction occurs, and when they turn back, the suit is slumped again without any sound or visible movement. And the next time they look back, it's completely gone, without a trace, like it was never actually there to begin with. Like all the Phantom animatronics from the games, Golden Freddy resembles the suit he was stuffed into before being disassembled or purged from his robot. Michael was abducted by Fredbear and Purple Guy, and was then stuffed into Henry's own spring Fredbear suit. Item 8. Henry, Charlie's father, is the Pink Guy. There are 2 explicit references to Henry, the book's equivalent to the phone guy in the games, as being pink. First, Charlie had a play cabinet in Henry's old office, which was a salmon color that Charlie had always insisted was pink. The second is in Chapter 8, when Henry and John find the picture of father in the yellow Freddy Fazbear costume. The head was tucked under his arm, staring sightlessly into the camera, like Golden Freddy. But Charlie's father was smiling, his face pink and sweaty, as if he had been in the costume for a long time. Beside him was a yellow Bonnie, and from the photo, a human is clearly in the spring Bonnie suit. We learn the true name of Dave the Purple Guy, William Afton. Henry and William were the joint owners of Fredbear's Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with Henry being the artist and genius behind the animatronics, and William being the businessman who made it work out financially. The 2 men have been working together for years at both restaurants, in spite of all the murders, and in spite of Mr. William Dave Afton donning the spring Bonnie suit and abducting Sammy, Henry's son, Charlie's twin brother, from Fredbear's Family Diner, never to be seen again. Dave, in his Springtrap persona, explains that he helped Henry create, yes, Dave was the principal murderer, but he did it for a reason. He helped Henry create animatronics. Henry seems to be a much more sympathetic character than his sociopathic counterpart, Phone Guy, from the games. He clearly loves his children and his wife, and Charlie's early memories at Fredbear's are happy ones. And yet, there are many references throughout the book about how Henry was always preoccupied by something, thinking about his robotic creations constantly, even when doing mundane things. John shocks Charlie with the disturbing news that many people in town thought Henry might have been responsible for the murders, and as the book progresses, she finds this idea harder and harder to dismiss. And love might have a different meaning to a mad scientist than it would to ordinary people. When interrogated, Dave, as Springtrap says, I helped him create. And then, we both wanted to love. Your father loved, and now I have loved. A mad scientist might consider giving someone immortality as a soul residing inside a robot to be a gift, even if the subject might disagree. And like our friend Bruce Wayne, there's no guarantee that a person's public self and their secret inner persona will both be good or even resemble each other at all. Soon after moving to the new house after Fredbear's family diner closed, Charlie's mother disappeared. Charlie cannot remember her ever saying goodbye, and assumes she left because the mutual pain was just too unbearable. Charlie lived along with Father for some time, watching him build robots, including all of the main animatronics. The memory was mostly positive, except for one thing. One of the robots, an endoskeleton with blazing silver eyes, would always sit in the corner of the workshop, twitching like it was in pain. Later, returning to Freddy's, Charlie discovers the silver-eyed endoskeleton again, inside Foxy, Henry and Phone Guy's favorite animatronic. In the Fnaf games, Phone Guy is stuffed into the spring Fredbear suit by the kids during the Fnaf One Night 4 phone call event. In the Silver Eyes, Henry commits suicide by stuffing himself into an endoskeleton that Charlie has never seen before. There is no costume on the skeleton, showing its complexity similar to a living thing with its bloodless circulation of wiring. But if he wore the same suit in death that he did in life, we know who this endoskeleton belongs to: Fredbear. Henry and William Afton were friends and partners in crime. They were the Pink Guy and the Purple Guy. They were Fredbear and Springtrap. They were the Color Brothers, the mad scientist team researching how to put a human soul into a robot. By the end of the book, both Fredbear and Springtrap are in functioning animatronic form. Charlie returns to the old house after 10 years being away and living with her Aunt Jen, only to discover that some of Father's tools look well maintained and used. And there's a strange deep furrow in the gravel outside that goes all the way to the dirt, which suggests someone, or something heavy, has used the tools and been to the house relatively recently. And then there are questions about Charlie herself. Why does she have strange lapses in memory? She seems to have unusual physical attributes, like pronounced strength, clammy skin, and an unusually high tolerance for pain. She can bleed, but has a great aversion to hospitals, something her Aunt Jen seemed to instill in her, and insists on using simple drugstore first aid supplies even when taking a Wolverine-style super combo hit. Why does Charlie have 3 strange closets, the smallest of which contains an animatronic doll that used to look exactly like she did at an earlier age? Why is the big girl closet, which used to be sealed, now open and empty? Perhaps, after losing one child, Father took extra precautions to make sure he didn't lose another. Or, perhaps, her brother wasn't actually lost, and has been around in a different form all this time. The Silver Eyes has its own set of mysteries separate from the games, and there are many directions speculation could take. I certainly hope there's another book. However, one thing is very clear. Henry, Charlie's father, is the Pink Guy, the mad scientist who created the animatronics, the book equivalent of the Phone Guy from the Fnaf games. He is Scott Cawthon's own character of the novel, and the single most important character in all of FNAF's epic story. Trying to explain FNAF without the Pink Guy is like explaining Masters of the Universe without Skeletor or Transformers without Megatron. It just doesn't make any sense. So, to recap, here's what we learned from the Silver Eyes. There are 2 villains who both wore and were stuffed into the 2 golden suits. Golden Freddy is child number 5, who was stuffed into the spring Fredbear suit, then removed from it. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is a front for a mad scientist, who's harvesting children and security guards as test subjects, learning how to put a human soul into a robot. The FNAF One Night Guard is the Purple Guy. In the novel, his name is William Dave Afton. In the game, his name is Mike Schmidt. In a nutshell, the Silver Eyes completely confirms that my second video in the Final Theory series, The Color Brothers, was the real answer to FNAF 3. Scott said that someone in the community had discovered the answer to FNAF 3, and I was that person. I thought I was onto something when Scott unexpectedly released FNAF 4 the day after I sent him an email link to The Color Brothers. He had a whole countdown series of teaser images planned, but suddenly scrapped them all and released the whole game 2 weeks early, causing great inconvenience and confusion to Markiplier and other prominent YouTubers that were at a convention. He'd only do something like that for a very good reason, and someone putting the answer to FNAF on YouTube certainly qualifies. Thank you for the awesome games and the novel, Scott. If the movie is anything like the book, it's going to be amazing. I'm sorry if I gave you a bit of a scare earlier on, but if the last 5 months are any indication, you had absolutely nothing to worry about. So, it's a new year. Where do I go from here? I still have to finish Jeremy's Last Sight, the final video of the final theory, what I believe to be the solution to Fnaf 4 and the story of Shadow Bonnie, Golden Freddy's friend and nemesis, revealed at last. And in spite of everything that's happened, I'm still going to use the revised November 11th version of the script. I've been conflicted about this video for a long time now and found making headway impossible. But now I have a clearer sense of purpose, and will finish the video like I promised all of you before Halloween. I've also been moving forward, working on an Undertale theory with my friend the Sonic God, which should reveal another epic story that's been well hidden, and shed light on why searching for Wingding Gaster might be so darn difficult. Perhaps he's not the one we should be looking for. Then the Final Theory series will continue, with a look at the overlooked brilliance of the ending to Matrix Revolutions, and how it actually does make perfect sense, and restores Neo to his rightful place as the One. I promised the Funday Puppet Show I'd have Bunny 4, The Revenge, ready in time for their Chocolate Easter Bunny Death Video Marathon 2 years ago. And the worst part is I actually finished Bunny Clips, but got lazy and sidetracked after hitting a hang-up with the special effects. So I'm going to finish that this year too, maybe for Easter, but more likely for Halloween. To see me evolve from a rag novice cell phone filmmaker to someone who actually knows a few After Effects tricks, watch the first 3 episodes in the Bunny Bowling Bomb trilogy. Then there are my off-the-wall mashup projects that I've wanted to do forever, like Goonies vs. X-Men, where Mikey and friends follow a suspiciously conspicuous treasure map to the basement for Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and try to save their homes by stealing the X-Jet for cash.
If they have anything that can pick up our jet, they deserve to catch us. There's someone here. Where? I don't know. Keep your eye open. Logan.
And there's Five Nights at Steam-Powered Giraffes, which pretty much sums itself up in the title.
What? Are you doing a show without me?
No, Gigi.
So here's looking forward to FNAF World in 2016. Thanks for watching. The next time you hear from me, FNAF will be solved for real. And it's no dream.
Am I your favorite project, or am I just a toy? I look around at the strange tools you employ. Between the trebuchet and rocket-powered Chevrolet, I hope you got some time today to play with me. Oh. Sure, they're all kinds of crazy, but they wear helmets too. And just like DMB, I wish that you'd crash into me. I made a pot of sanity and tea, just tea.
Take me